Welcome back to the Stretch the Floor podcast. I'm Matthew here, as always, with Venushan to talk some more basketball. A few things to get into this week. A couple of teams keep winning, like the Warriors keep winning. The Nuggets got Jokic back after that suspension. The suspension happened since we talked, but he
Yeah,
served his 2 games. He's back now.
one
We're
game.
gonna get. Oh, it was just 1 game. Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he served this 1 game. That whole thing, but apparently the Jokic brothers, it's not over for them because they bought tickets to the next game in Miami. So like,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, a few things to get into this week. The biggest thing I think is that the Philadelphia 76ers keep playing really well. Without Embiid, they have Harris back now, but without Harris, they were still playing well. They're still winning. Uh, and one of the biggest reasons for that has been the emergence of Tyrese Maxey. He's had a huge jump from his rookie year. He's averaging 17 and 5, almost 50% from the field, about 38% from three. He's just been playing amazing, and that was on full display in their close loss to the Raptors the other night. Um, what do the Sixers do from here? Because they might have a starting point guard on like a
Yeah.
championship caliber team in Tyrese Maxey. So is the move for them now to look for more of a depth trade for Simmons instead of finding like a star, just find out some more guys to fill out that roster. So does this open up more possibilities for the whole Ben Simmons saga?
Yeah, because Tyrese Maxey has elevated himself into the Tyrese Halliburton role. Like their stats are basically the same. They're both second year players. Maxey's actually scoring more, a little worse off defensively, but he has way better efficiency in scoring more. And then just comparing those two, like how Halliburton was talked in this offseason was like, oh, he's untouchable. He could be a future, backcourt starter for a championship team, stuff like that. And then Maxi has to get all this credit too now. Like he can be
Mm-hmm.
that, he is young. But also on the other hand, you're not trying to like spend another 2, 3 years developing him, right? You're trying to win now.
Right.
So you want to keep him, but you might use him as a trade piece, as in if you want to elevate that Ben Simmons package, right? Elevate what you're getting back. But ideally, you just want to upgrade like the point guard, move Maxi to the shooting guard and get a small forward in. So that's either like, you know, the trade that I liked a lot, which they didn't go for, was the Brogdon and Levert one, because now you would have Maxi, Brogdon, Levert, Tobias Harris, and Embiid, and you expect all those guys to average 17 plus, which is
Mm-hmm.
crazy if you have a whole starting lineup having 17
Mm-hmm.
plus with an actual like 6 man and Seth Curry. Yeah, so like that's crazy. But they didn't go for that. They got re-signed, so that trade is done. So there's no point in talking about that. But now that trade looks even better, right? So if something like that pops up, a D'Angelo Russell plus something, stuff like that pops up, we could see Ben Simmons actually moving. And Ben Simmons is going to be traded for one of those players. He's not going to be traded for these fantasy Jaylen Brown type deals that are floating around by Daryl Morey. Like that's not happening. No
Yeah.
one's trading Dame for Ben Simmons and picks. No one's trading Jaylen Brown for Ben Simmons and picks. Like he's going for a role player, like a good role player in like Brogdon, D'Lo, that type player. It's just I think now the Sixers are willing to accept that, whereas in the offseason they weren't.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much where it is now. One thing that like especially with Embiid out, with Harris out, with Simmons out, some of these
Maxi
depth players
held the ground.
really stepped up. Maxi, Seth Curry, he's probably having a career year
Period.
so
Yeah.
far. Korkmaz is shooting the lights out. Like just and Andre
Yeah.
Drummond, like he was your biggest sleeper in fantasy, and he's gotten a lot of chance to start, and he's been putting up really good numbers,
Yeah.
fantasy wise. So like they just have a lot of guys stepping up. So if Embiid comes back, if they're able to get something for Simmons and like move those guys even more down the depth chart, this team
Yeah.
could be scary, right? Because they look like if they get Embiid back, at least the top 6 team, like probably avoiding that play in, right? So if they add some more guys that can actually play, because Ben Simmons is just taking up a like they're paying him all this money, or I guess they're not paying him
Yeah.
right now, but you know what I
No,
mean?
they
Like,
actually are. They are.
oh, are they? They're
Yeah.
finding him every day, but they're not paying him.
No, they
Or
are paying him. He has got all his 8 million, whatever, because he did all that mental health stuff. So
oh,
we don't want to
true,
get into
true.
that, but he is getting
Yeah,
his
yeah.
money and he's able to sit at home. So
Okay.
the options aren't looking good for him coming back, because if you're getting your money, you don't want to play for the team. Like, what's the negative of him
Right,
sitting
right,
out? He
right.
misses out on a career, like stats wise.
Yeah.
But I don't think Ben Simmons is the type of player that's like, oh man, I need to play this year. So my all-time stats are, I know I could be the guy that has 10K points, 10K rebounds, 10K assists.
Hmm.
You know, he's not one of those. He's not a Westbrook or like a LeBron or a KD that's like hungry for their stats and like they actually they feel bad when they miss a season or something because they
Right,
know
right.
that's can affect their all-time stats. Right? He's not that.
Yeah.
And other than missing his all-time stats, there's really no negative for him because his reputations can't get any worse.
Yeah.
He's getting his money. Like
Yeah.
there's literally nothing negative that can happen to him. Like I hope I hope he's healthy. I hope he's in a good peace of mind, and I hope the Sixers do right by him, just move him. And they kind of have to accept this deal for like above average role players like a D'Lo, Brogdon, Oliver, good starters, right?
Hmm.
Borderline all stars, because they're not getting Jalen Brown's teams. They're not getting that. Like it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. No, it's yeah. And the thing is, like, I don't like. I think getting a couple high quality role players would be very
Good.
beneficial to this team because, like,
Yeah.
you look at the East right now. Yeah, Brooklyn is probably the runaway favorite, but I
No
think
Kyrie. They're beatable.
No Kyrie. Milwaukee hasn't been playing up to their potential now. Granted, they've been dealing with injuries, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty much up for grabs. Probably the sooner they trade him, the sooner they can get like
Like
something back for him. Is
realistically speaking, if the Sixers team had a healthy Brogdon and a healthy Liver
yeah,
added into their last year team, we're talking about championship
that's what
76ers.
I'm saying. Yeah,
We're
exactly.
talking about Embiid with a championship. And then people are always going to be like, oh, LeBron and AD weren't fully healthy, KD, whatever, weren't fully healthy. That might happen again this year, right? It's just about having the best team that you could have and then
Hmm.
versing whatever, right? Like when the Raptors were making their push, they were versing the best team on paper ever because
Yeah,
the championship 73-9 Warriors added Kevin Durant. They won a championship and then they added DeMarcus Cousins after winning two championships. So like they looked like the best team ever, and then they were unhealthy, right? And we won a championship. And same with the Giannis. You know, everyone
hmm,
thought it was going to be Nets versus Lakers. Both those teams didn't make the playoff finals, and Giannis got his first ring. So if you just surround Embiid with enough talent, he might be able to break through and get a championship because he is that good of a player.
yeah.
And it sucks that the Daryl Morey isn't going to do that. And this is really ruining Daryl Morey's reputation. He's really, I don't know if he'll get another job as a GM if this one doesn't go
Hmm.
right.
Yeah, it's tough because like while trading Embiid for even if it's really high quality depth
Ben
like
Simmons,
Brogdon and what did I say Embiid?
Embiid,
Sorry, trading Simmons. Sorry, it's trading Simmons for high quality depth and like Embiid and shooters is going to be a good team,
good
right? Like,
team, yeah.
but the thing is, do you want to pull the trigger that fast and potentially miss out on like a star trade in
But
the offseason or something? I
is
don't know
that
what's going to be there. It's probably not going to be
it's
there,
not
but
going to
like,
be there.
do you like? Do you want to be out of impatience, just make this move for and give yourself a really good team that might not be a championship team without injury luck from other teams,
Like
or do
they
you want to
also,
hold out and wait for like if Dame's
it's
just like I am not playing next year,
it's not
you
going to
know?
be there though, because like realistically speaking, if you're Portland and you're rebuilding, you don't want a 25-year-old who has all these
Yeah,
off court issues, because what says he's not going to pull the same stuff on us, right? Like I'd rather go take a chance on Brandon Ingram and stuff. You know what I mean? With
yeah,
less picks or whatever, right? So like, or not if Brandon Ingram's unavailable, even like Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter and a bunch of picks. You know what I mean? Like those packages are just better nowadays. Yes, Ben Simmons last year was almost there for a James Harden trade. Yes,
yeah, yeah.
Daryl Morey, we know that. We know you missed out by not adding Maxi. We know you're that close.
Yeah.
But guess what? That doesn't exist anymore, man. Like the value is sky. It's just dropped too much. Like no, there's 0% chance Dame gets traded for him. Cat gets traded for him. Jalen Brown, even Brandon Ingram. Because if those guys are getting traded, you want a young kid who's 100% motivated because you're going back into a rebuild. So you want someone who's buying into the system, a good leader to these young guys, stuff like that. You don't want someone who could potentially cause too much turmoil. The only teams that are going to be training for Ben Simmons are teams that already have a leader, like someone already established as like the guy
Mm-hmm.
or the cornerstone. And then Ben Simmons is going to come complement that and they're going to try to make a playoff run. Example, Timberwolves, the Cat's going to be the guy, Anthony Edwards is that guy. Ben Simmons going to come, you know, help that out. For the Pacers, there'll be Sabonis is already there. TJ Warren's already there. You know, Ben Simmons going to go in there with Kala and assist them, and they're going to
Mm-hmm.
go push forward. For the Raptors, Fred VanVleet was already there. It would have been a Siakam swap, but Fred VanVleet's already there. Nick Nurse already there. Masai's already there. A system's already there. The young guy's already established himself as very big cornerstones, Scotty Barnes. You're just going to come be another part of the system. No one's going to trade like Dame, where now it is Ben Simmons' team. You know what I mean? Like that's never going to happen.
Yeah, it's I don't think you can ever say never in situations like this, but
highly unlikely.
It would take a very, very, very like
big
dramatic
Ben Simmons fan.
It would take a big Ben Simmons fan and just something going horribly wrong with like a Dame or something, and their relationship souring to the point where he's just like, you have to trade me right now. But like,
even then, like I'd be surprised if Philly has the best offer.
True. Yeah. Good point. Yeah, good point. Anyway, that's probably enough speculation on the Ben Simmons.
Let's
move on to something a little more positive. The Denver Nuggets, like I said, got Nikola Jokic back, and still without obviously Murray. They've been without MPJ for 6-7 games now, something like that. But Will Barton has stepped up, and they've been winning some games. We've seen a couple good games from Aaron Gordon offensively. Will Barton, I think you have him in fantasy. He's been
he's been great.
Right? Yeah, he's been.
I tried to trade for him, but it got vetoed.
Oh right, yeah, my bad. Anyway, he's been playing really well, and they just keep winning. What like we've always talked about like the depth on this Nuggets team, but it's been coming from unlikely sources. We thought it was going to be MPJ, pretty much MPJ, but it's been Will Barton and others.
Yeah, I think people like don't realize how badly they were injured last year. Like it wasn't just Jamal Murray. Like Will Barton was nowhere near close to 100%. Like Monty Morris wasn't anywhere close to 100%. PJ Dozier wasn't even able to play. Like the whole guard depth was just depleted. And then now you just notice how good Jokic is. Like he can make anyone look like a star, right? And Will Barton's finally healthy. Looks like a great contract for the Nuggets. He does have on and off games because his last game against Atlanta, he only dropped 5 points and 5 rebounds, but they got the win. But the game before that, he dropped 30 points with 6 threes. And the game before that, he dropped 25 with 7 threes, right?
Yeah.
So he is a streaky player. He's going to have 2 good games, 1 bad game, on and off. But this season, averaging 16.4, 4.7 rebounds, 4.1 assists, 2.4 threes, and 1.3 steals on a field goal percentage of 47. Like he's shooting, he's doing his thing, he's stepping up. And he's been the second best player because now with MPJ out, even with that back stuff, hopefully he comes back quick. But he's stepping up, and this Nuggets team, like if they're this good already, where they're like a playoff team already, and then you add who everyone I think has as like an all-star level player in Jamal Murray, and you add another all-star level potential player in MPJ, like that's another 2 all-stars getting added to a playoff team. Like they're contenders. They're gonna be. We've been saying this all along. They're going to be championship. They're going to be like the Spurs. They might not win back-to-backs or stuff like that, but over the next like 10 years, you could see them coming out with like 3 or 4 championships, getting that legacy really built in for Jokic, Jamal Murray, and all these guys. Because this is just like, it's like Tim Duncan, like a dominant big who's just like levels above everyone else in Tim Duncan and Jokic, a quick guard who could score at will. That's Tony Parker and Jamal Murray, and then Ginobili and MPJ, just a guard that could just shoot, score, defend, do a little bit of everything, do what the team needs. That's MPJ and thing. They just have this like Spurs type build, and then they have a bunch of good role players. Like this team just reminds me of the Spurs in their prime.
Yeah, that's a really, really good comparison. Like Jokic is just like we can't even talk about him in the context of like other NBA players, like current NBA players. Like it's gotten to the point he's young, but he's like building a Hall of Fame, like all-time caliber resume. And I would be shocked if he didn't win multiple championships. He's that solid, that unbelievable of a player. And it might not happen this year, but the fact that they're playing this well, like Jokic, like I don't like just the sum of the parts is not that great if you look at the team, but Jokic just makes the team so much better. It's not even funny. And he's been improving defensively too. Like their defense has actually been better than their offense for most of the season, which is really surprising. So adding Murray back, like whatever it's going to be February, I don't know if he's going to be 100% after that ACL. They say it's a 2-year injury. So maybe this playoffs doesn't go the way they want, but I wouldn't be surprised if they won a series or two.
Yeah, and it's just like the two people that are doing it right now are like the two people who are gonna have all-time great records and all-time great resumes, and the two people in their prime. It's two European players like Giannis and Jokic. Everyone was trying to pencil in Luka Doncic as like the West,
Yeah.
counterpart for Giannis, but it's just Jokic. Like it's too hard to make a case against him because you're kind of reaching here and there. It's just Jokic versus Giannis. These guys, both the same age, both going crazy, both gonna be in MVP top threes for like the next decade. Like these, it's literally like
Hmm.
it's like Tim Duncan and like a Shaq or Kobe. You know what I mean? Like these guys are gonna be there. They're gonna face the leagues, and as Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Steph Curry. Steph Curry probably the MVP favorite runaway right now. As those guys, dwindle out on their career, these guys are already there, 26, ready to step up and be the face of the league.
That's a really good point because I hadn't even thought about that before. Like Giannis is obviously like the face of the league in the East at least, but
Yeah,
and then like you said, we usually say, oh, it's going to be Zion, it's going
Luka.
to be Doncic, it's going
Yeah,
to be Trey Young, whatever, one of these guys, right? And
yeah,
no one ever says it's going to be Giannis and Jokic. They're the same age. They both put up unbelievable
crazy.
numbers every single night, night in, night out. They always show up to play and they make their team better. So 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years down the line, we're probably going to look back on this era, this decade, and it's going to be the Giannis versus Jokic era, which is crazy because they're two European bigs who play such a unique style of game, and
Yeah,
that's probably what we're going to remember.
yeah.
In basketball
That's
history, is pretty cool.
that's why I like the Tim Duncan comparison so much. Yeah, their games aren't similar. I know that like they aren't identical, but what I mean is like Tim Duncan, even though we look back at him and we know he's great, and us basketball, like I knew I had to watch a Tim Duncan game live, and I went to watch the Spurs. But I mean, like the general media and stuff didn't give Tim Duncan that attention, and only
Mm,
after he retired, you can look back and be like, oh yeah, this guy was a face and pillar of the league for
yeah,
that many years. That's kind of like what Jokic is too. Like he's that good. All NBA fans are gonna know about him. He's gonna be that great, but he's not gonna get the buzz and the media attention of a Giannis, of a Luka, and stuff like that. And it's okay with that. I'm pretty sure this Nuggets fans are okay with that if they
yeah,
get the success that the Spurs did.
yeah. I'm pretty sure they're okay with that, and that I trust that front office probably more than
Yeah,
like most teams to consistently put a winner around him because they're so good at drafting and
so good
they
at
have a really
re-signing.
good at re-signing, just a great track
Yeah,
record. So yeah, definitely big things coming. Let's move on to the next topic, which is kind of interesting. So the Atlanta Hawks haven't been playing up to the expectations that we thought they would to this point. Now, granted, it's early, and also the Timberwolves, they've been winning a little bit lately. Anthony Edwards is
it's
been playing
the best
really
player.
really well. He's been their best player.
Yeah,
But the cat trade rumors have started, and they won't stop until the start of next season when he's still in their uniform, if
yeah.
that is the case. So, is there an Atlanta Hawks cat trade? Because that would be one of the scariest and most fun to watch young pairings. Not even young, just straight up duos in the league with Trey Young and Cat. Is that a trade that can happen?
Yeah, so we've been talking about this trade for what, like 2 years now, because
Yeah.
we said it's gonna happen. We just said it's gonna happen in 2023, 2024. Cat's last year of his contract. That's
Yeah.
when we said it was gonna happen. But we said this trade is destined to happen because you just have a team that has a bunch of depth that where they can't even play all these great young players enough minutes to get their full potential. And then you have this team that has a superstar, but doesn't have the depth to really flesh out a team and roster an actual like good starting five with a good bench and stuff like that. So we said they're like trade partners made to make a trade. And the Cat trade was Cat for John Collins, Bogdanovich, Cam Reddish, and then both the 22 22nd picks, first round picks. They have two uh, going to the Timberwolves and a 2024 pick going to the Timberwolves as well. And then so that gets you three first round picks, gets you John Collins, you're starting power forward, gets you Cam Reddish, you're starting small forward, and then gets you Bogdanovich off the bench, or most likely flip Bogdanovich for like a Miles Turner or another center to fill in there so Nas Reed doesn't have to start. And then for Atlanta Hawks, you get Cat and Beasley to match the contracts. And then I think that's just a match made in heaven. Like you get the best pick and roll in Trey and
Mm-hmm.
Cat, and you actually get Anthony Edwards, a full team that'll play
Yeah,
defense and support him.
exactly. Like the fit with the Hawks doesn't need to be explained. Best pick and roll
No.
in the league,
Yeah,
most exciting offensive duo maybe in the entire NBA. And then on the Wolves side, Anthony Edwards has shown that he can
be
put
the
up
guy.
25 plus a night, and he's on his way to being a superstar. So you surround him with quality guys like John Collins, who in a bigger role might, take on more, I don't know, like just be more willing to play defense. I don't know. He's a
Yeah,
little up and down defensively, but you never know, right? And then just so much flexibility, so many, like Cam Reddish, defender, but can shoot the three and
starting small
everything like
forward.
that. Starting small forward, like it makes too much sense, and then you get those draft picks and everything. So like,
Yeah,
I like to trade
yeah,
now. Obviously, I want to win with Cat at all costs because he's
yeah.
a player that you don't come by very often in this sport. But how many more years are we going to do this?
Yeah.
Until you just realize the fit just doesn't work and you have to get more depth.
And let's be honest, if anyone has watched Timberwolves games, I know a lot of people don't, but we watch a couple. The way you see Cat play right now, it seems like he's requested a trade behind
Mm.
closed doors. He's just not giving it his all. He's still amazing because it's Karl-Anthony Towns. He just has enough NBA talent where he could
Mm-hmm.
be amazing while being mad. You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
have to be like fully
yeah.
into it to be amazing. But we had those Anthony Edwards comments that he retracted later that said, "Oh, whenever I get the ball, the coaches are all asking me to attack, get in the paint, attack, attack, attack." But I keep saying it's just me and stuff. Like I don't know if that was a dig at Cat, like he's not attacking enough, he is or whatever, stuff like that. But he retracted that comment. But everything's pointing to Karl-Anthony Towns requesting a trade behind closed doors. We know he likes Minnesota. We know he likes the people of Minnesota. We know he doesn't want to do it publicly because if he says it publicly, you're not getting this trade offer. You're getting a much lower trade offer.
Right.
So he's trying to help the team out. He's trying to get them, get as much stuff as you can. Let me go somewhere else. And then for like having a lineup of D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, Cam Reddish, John Collins, then I say flip Bogdanovich for Miles Turner. I think both teams agree to that. Miles Turner at the 5. Like that 5 is better than the Timberwolves
Yeah,
5 right now.
exactly. Yeah.
And they couldn't win more games because
Yeah.
John Collins could take the scoring that, Cat left, 20-ish
Mm-hmm.
points. Cam Reddish and Miles Turner will pick up the difference in the scoring, the better scores than the current power forward and small forward. And then the defense just improves immensely. Miles Turner, Cam Reddish, John Collins, if you have that as your front court defenders, it's going to improve immensely. And then you still have a bench of Pat Beverly, Josh Okogie, McDaniels, Vanderbilt, and Reed. Like that's all just
Not bad
defenders,
at all. Yeah.
like hard-nosed defenders that kind of give their all. And this team could be a playing team that's led by Anthony Edwards that still has young guys in Cam Reddish, John Collins, Turner, D'Lo to support him. It could be a fun young team and it has draft assets. So I think that's the way. That's obviously Timberwolves should do that. The Pacers thing that we've been like kind of like jumping in and out, they can't run two bigs anymore. Bogdanovich is probably ideally to get because you can run Brogdon, Bogdanovich, Levert, TJ Warren, Sabonis. You just can't run two bigs anymore. That's the trade to go. There's nothing really to say about that. Like it's 2021. No one's running two bigs besides the Pacers. So they should do that. And then the Hawks side, you're 4-8. If you keep this losing streak going, it's time to make a big trade. You're still gonna have enough depth. You're still gonna have Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, Colin T. Towns, and Clint Capella as your starting 5. Then off the bench, you're gonna have Lou Williams, Beasley, DeLon Wright, Jalen Johnson, Gallinari, and Okongwu. Like that's a deep team still, and you're losing 2 picks.
Still one of the deeper teams in the East, and they traded half their depth. So
so you're still gonna have an incredibly deep team, and you can have an all-star in Cat and like a top 3 center. So it just makes sense from every team's perspective. It's just a matter of do the Timberwolves do it, and has these Cat rumors, has he actually requested a trade behind closed doors?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. There's not really much point in speculating on whether he has or not, but
it looks like it on court play.
Yeah, from the way he's playing.
Yeah.
I don't know. But again, I don't think it's a very like
something we can really definitively agree on.
Yeah, but the writing seems to be kind of on the wall. But anyway, that would be a very, very interesting trade. Another trade that is floating around out there that is definitely not going to happen is like this 3-way Simmons, Jaylen Brown, Cat thing. I like the idea of Cat on the Celtics. I'm gonna be honest, but like I
Yeah.
don't think that's happening in the Ben Simmons. We don't need to get into more Ben Simmons, but
Even
yeah.
the Jaylen Brown thing, like he's just not getting traded. Like you don't trade. Like the people have to realize the league is run by guards. Like
Hmm.
when's the last time a center doesn't have a handle to bring it? Because people are gonna be like, oh, Giannis, but Giannis has a handle to bring it up all the way to court. Centers that don't have it usually aren't getting traded for guards that can score 25 and bring it up all the
Hmm.
way to court. So Jaylen Brown's not getting moved. Like the Celtics are gonna make a move with the other pieces, not Jaylen Brown.
Do you like this is a little side topic though? Do you think the Celtics like how much more of time should they give this pairing between of Tatum and Brown, and like how many more guys can they put around them and just keep disappointing?
Like make a trade for the third guy with everyone else. Like throw in all your picks. Like go all
Yeah,
in. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Don't like don't do this thing where oh I still have a bunch of my picks and like Danny Ainge like was a horrible like he's a horrible GM. Like he's great at rebuilding. He's great at getting picks, but he
Hmm.
should have thrown a bunch of those picks and got the Anthony Davis, got the Jimmy Butler, got those guys, but he didn't. He didn't want to give up those picks. I think I think Steven Adams is more Steven Adams. What's the thing's name? Brad Stevens.
Brad Stevens,
I
Steven
think
Adams, GM.
I
Yeah,
think Brad Stevens, the GM, has already thrown picks
yeah.
to get rid of Kemba. So I think he will throw away more picks to actually
Mhm.
get a star in. But yeah, like use the picks, use the Langford, lose the bench, you know what I mean? Use everything besides the two players. Get a
Yeah,
big three and then do it the Miami Heat way, the Heatles way. Get a big
yeah.
three and then minimum wage, minimum that guys try to win a championship that way. The Celtics way, they did it in '08 that way.
Mm.
Do that
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You don't want to do something you're gonna regret later. You want to
Yeah.
exhaust all resources you can to try to win with this core
Duo.
because it's
Yeah.
it's an unbelievable two players. Yeah, the
Duo.
fit
Yeah.
hasn't looked great this season. It didn't look great last season between the two, but that might be more on the players they're putting around them, like not
Yeah.
having a true playmaker out there. Even now with Schroeder and Marcus Smart, it's not like they haven't really had a true point guard with these two ever,
Yeah.
right? So even when they had Kemba, so that might be the next step. And yeah, there's going to be options out there, so you don't want to rush anything. I guess the only thing to talk about before we go is the Lakers lost another game to the aforementioned Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah.
I don't know, like what do you think about the Lakers? Is it time to panic? Carmelo Anthony is their second best player. Uh,
Yeah.
like, what are our thoughts on the Lakers? They're just praying for LeBron to come back, but even when he does, like, we've seen what Westbrook looks like to this point with LeBron, and I don't know.
I think Rob Pelinka and Le GM LeBron, they're sitting down next to each other. They're looking and they're like, man, we should have got DeMar DeRozan and Buddy Hield.
Oh
I think
man,
that's what they're
can you
saying.
imagine?
Because yeah, I think that's what they're saying. And all LeBron's, but it's probably LeBron's worst GM decision because he only became the GM when he came his second stint in Cleveland. When he
Yeah,
traded Andrew Wiggins for Kevin Love. That
right.
was like Le GM starting because
Yeah,
first one he was too young, and then Pat Riley didn't give him enough control. So that's when the GM started. And to be fair, he's made the finals essentially every year healthy
yeah,
since he became the GM. He's surrounded himself with enough help, enough shooters. But he finally made a decision that was against his usual decision, which is get good shooting guys.
mm,
That was kind of like that was LeBron and the GM's like decision every time. And Westbrook's just not that guy, man. Like Melo's that guy. He's
yeah,
shooting like catch and shoots. He should became literally Buddy Hield.
literally, yeah,
He literally adopted his career to become Buddy Hield. Like amazing for him. Like what a legend, scoring 17 points at this year after missing
crazy.
his whole season of the NBA because he wasn't good enough to make it. Like what a legend. Uh, Surprisingly, Anthony Davis is not. He's not bad. Like I don't think anyone could blame this on Anthony Davis.
No,
Like he is mantling that center more. He's trying his best he can. It's just they just don't have enough shooters. Like no one's like shooting enough, and Westbrook's he's just washed right now. But I guess this is what the Lakers fans are telling themselves. The last 3 years, Westbrook has sucked
Yeah,
in the first half of
exactly.
the season. So they're just hoping second half Westbrook's a real thing and he comes
Yeah.
back and plays better.
Yeah. If there's one thing we've learned over the last 3 years is that Westbrook might look
Sucks.
washed in
Yeah.
the first half, and then something clicks and they figure something out, and then he looks like an all-star in the second half. That's what happened last year. It's what happened in Houston. And then another thing is that when you have a healthy LeBron, you're pretty much a finals team, right? So if
Yeah.
LeBron comes back and is fully healthy, now that is actually a legitimate question mark now because he's been
Yeah.
injured the entire year and he missed a lot of time last year, and the injuries seem to be piling up. But if
This
this team has
is
a healthy LeBron and Davis, even if Westbrook is not a great fit, I think LeBron finds a way to make it work, especially with Melo shooting the way he does. But yeah, it's definitely a shame for them that they didn't make that Buddy Hield and DeMar DeRozan decision in the
yeah.
offseason, because having DeMar's playmaking and his just ability to get a bucket kind of whenever he
Buddy
wants,
Hield sniping.
with Buddy Hield sniping, with Melo shooting the way he is now, man, that would be a
My
fun team
God.
to watch.
Yeah. That definitely would be a fun team to watch. And I think they just wanted that big three because they
Yeah.
saw the Brooklyn Nets big three and they're like,
Yeah.
we need a big three to versus a big three. I don't know. I guess it's just a bad choice.
I
It's
think
LeBron's first bad choice as a GM, so he's had a great career, GM career. Got a
yeah.
championship in Cleveland, got a championship in LA, so
Yeah.
it's tough. But all GMs make a mistake.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True. There was that one year in Cleveland where, I mean, they still made the finals, but they brought in like D Wade and like Darren Williams and
Derrick Rose.
Derrick Rose and all that.
Yeah.
That wasn't though. I mean, those were very minor additions to the team, and that team wasn't going to win a championship anyway. But
That
I
was
mean,
like
that
a
was
scramble though, right? Because
yeah,
he wasn't expecting Kyrie Irving to demand a trade
right,
publicly,
right, yeah,
and they had to scramble to get what they can. And then the guy who they got, IT, was MVP the year before,
yeah,
and was literally out of the league like
yeah,
2 years later, right? So I give him a pass on that trade because I think most people thought that was like a fair trade at that time.
yeah. Good point.
But
Good point. Good point.
It is
Yeah.
what it is. This one, a lot of us were kind of against. I would say most of the people were against. Even Lakers fans were a little skeptical because of the spacing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's kind of just living up to exactly what we thought. Even with Melo playing this good, like no one expected Melo to play this good.
Right.
Even with a Melo playing this good, it's tough. Hopefully Frank Vogel. I don't even know how they can improve this team. Like hopefully, I don't know.
I think
have
they
no
need to
idea.
stop playing DeAndre Jordan and
Dwight
Howard and
completely.
just completely just play AD at the 5. You can make the spacing a little bit better that way. You can have Westbrook.
Can his body last though? Like
I don't know.
he gets game time decision every single game,
Yeah.
playing like 10 minutes at center. If he plays a whole season at center.
True. True.
I think this team is sneakily going to be like a 6 seed, and then they're going to try to go on a run. But I just don't expect a good regular season from this team.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone predicted that it was going to take them at least like a quarter of the season to figure things out, but it seems like it might take even longer than that.
Yeah.
I think we pretty much covered all the big topics from this week. Did we miss anything?
Not really. This was kind of a slow week in NBA.
Kind of a slow week. Let's hope that trade season could be starting up pretty soon.
Open now. Yeah.
Yeah, trade season is open. All those guys who couldn't be traded, some of them now can be
traded. Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully we get a few, because there's definitely a few teams that need to make some trades. So, and that will give us Atlanta Hawks, and that will give us some good content for the pod. But let's hope for that. Until then, thank you for listening to this episode. You can check us out on all of our social media platforms: Instagram at Stretch the Floor Podcast, YouTube, subscribe to SDF Clips for all the best clips from the podcast, and then most importantly, subscribe to the feed on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get them. Leave a 5-star rating and review, because it all really helps with the algorithm. Again, thank you for listening to this episode, and we will be back next week.